We're singing. Dun, 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 dun. Time to talk. Beauty and the bitch.
Yeah.
Ring, ring, ring. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello, this is your mother.
Oh my gosh. Hi.
It's my sweet baby, my angel, my choir from the church girl. Oh, I love you, sweet darling. How are you? Are you coming home tomorrow? I miss you.
First of all, yes, I love you too. Second of all, no, I won't be coming home tomorrow. And I actually won't be coming home like ever. So here's what I need from you, okay? Here's what I need.
Wait, darling. You can't, what are you talking about? Who's going to water my azaleas if you're off on the other side of the country? Think about your mother.
Exactly. So when you're done watering your azaleas, here's what I need you to do. I need you to call my boss and you just tell her that I won't be in on Monday and also that I won't be in ever again. If you could do that, that would be really helpful. And
darling.
Yes, mommy. Yes. And when you're done with that, I need you to go to my bathroom and turn my straightener off because I'm pretty sure I left it on. And then when it cools down, put it in a little box and then put some other things that look cute in a little box and you mail those to me. And then if you could just put my children up for adoption, get rid of the dog, and if you could do something with the plants because they're going to really need a caring, loving home. And then if you could sell my house and also my car. And if you could just send me some rent. It's very expensive in San Francisco.
Okay, first up, bitch. Surprise, I'm not your mother. Second, yeah, woo! I'm wearing her face, though, just so you know. Second, if you think you're adult enough to move across the goddamn country, then you at least should have found someone to take care of your kids. And also now I've got to take care of your mother's azaleas and your plants. I'm not a fucking greenhouse attendant. I'm a fucking skin-stealing murderer.
Great. And I think you're missing the point of everything because if you don't go turn my straightener off, there won't be any mother or azaleas left for you to care for. And I just really need you to hear me right now.
You're so selfish, fake Morgan, with your fake decisions. Okay. Well, just so you know, your mother's face is crepey, and I'm not going to be wearing it for much longer. And welcome back to another episode of Beauty and the Bitch. This week, we're doing kind of like a serial killers meets Tales of the City mashup, I think.
That's who we are.
I'm sorry, girl. It's not what we planned, but all of a sudden, I just decided I'd killed her. I don't know what happened, you know?
You know what? No harm, no foul. We're good.
And we were brilliantly referencing, I hope some of y'all got it, the very first scene of the original 1993 Tales of the City, in which Laura Linney calls her mother and asks her mother to quit her job for her, which I think is indicative of her whole character, but I don't want to go too deep right off the bat.
Yeah, I love that this is getting ahead, but I love that the career she made for herself is infomercials. Don't you need a hoodie goodie? Or like, like she's kind of a trash person.
She is kind of a trash person, which is, I feel like that's something that comes out a lot more in the Netflix remake, which is currently available to stream on Netflix, just called Tales of the City, I think. And that just came out this year in 2019. You really get to see how everyone else realizes that she's a trash person in the remake. I feel like in the original, it's not so obvious.
Because they loved her so hard. So when you suggested that we do this, you had read the books, were a fan, had seen the original series, and brought it to my attention, a total noob. So I went into it knowing nothing, and I was so surprised when the show kicked off, and it was Laura fucking Linney, and she was so youthful, and I like her a lot, and I feel like she's had a really prolific career, so I was like so excited to see something that she was, that probably really helped jumpstart her career.
Absolutely. Well, sometimes Laura Linney is one of those actresses who are like beloved by the gays, you know, and I don't 100% understand why, but I think a big part of it must be her starring in this series. I mean, in 1993, the 90s were a different time, you know, and early 90s, no less. And for her to, I don't know, play this like the character she plays, her name is Mary Ann Singleton, and she's kind of like the most basic bitch you've ever met. She's
She's like your basic Midwest, like Dorothy Gale situation.
exact she is, but just like Dorothy Gale, she's happy. She loves the freaks. She loves the weirdos. She loves the gays and the queers and the muscle daddies and the leather queens, and like she has a big heart, but she's just such a fucking basic mess, you know? But I think, you know, I mean, you know better than anyone, Morgan. Every
Hey,
gay man has a what? What? How'd you know where I was gonna go with that? No, I do think that the character she portrays though, here's the thing, she's basic, but she stands up for her gay friends consistently and she loves them. Her love is kind of broken, which is talked about a lot more in the remake, but like she loves her friends and she doesn't care that they're outcasts and that they're queer and that they have AIDS and you know all these various things that come up. And I think that might be part of the reason Laura Linney is a gay icon.
well, I think that that makes sense, and I actually didn't know until right this moment that she's a gay icon. But like when you lay it out like that, it feels like this has to be why.
Not like I'm not saying like in the club they turn on dance music and then they throw up a picture of Laura Linney and everyone just fucking freaks out. Like it's not like that, but amongst the like a certain slice of like I don't want to sound like an elitist here, but let's say college educated gays. There's a strong love for Laura Linney. I hear about it a lot. I'm not really a huge Laura Linney fan, but I do love Mary Ann Singleton. So I guess I love Laura Linney too, you know. So Morgie, now you mentioned that I had the pleasure of introducing you to this series. Um, I actually saw the original made-for-TV series before I read the books, but the books are the original incarnation of the story.
Wait,
And
was this the Laura Linney thing was made for TV?
yeah, it actually PBS and in the UK Channel 4 came together and put it out in 1993. So it aired in America on PBS.
That's fascinating. Laura Linney has she has a deep history with BBC, so that makes sense for her career. And like, I don't know if you know this, but like Downton Abbey is like a BBC masterpiece series, or like, you know, whatever that means. It's like a part of this collection. And Laura Linney is the person who comes on to introduce every episode of that. And she's always like, "Hi, I'm Laura Linney. You're watching Downton Abbey, part of the BBC masterpiece series. Enjoy." And I always thought it was so fucking weird. Like, what
Well,
business does this white American lady have introducing this deeply British show?
well, I don't. I mean, I'm looking at her up on IMDb right now. I mean, what do you think of when you think of Laura Linney? Is there like a lot of BBC that you specifically think of?
I can't think specifically right now. I think the first thing I think of when I think of Laura Linney is The Truman Show. Because
Oh, of
for
course.
me, that was like a pretty formative thing.
Mhm.
But she's been in so many things, you know?
She's been so okay. So I'm looking through her IMDb right now. Yeah, she plays Meryl Burbank slash Hannah Gill in Truman Show. That's his wife, right?
Yep.
She plays his wife. Oh, she was also Dr. Karen Ross in Congo. Do you remember that movie Congo with
Yes.
those killer apes or whatever?
Yep, I remember.
So she obviously she stars in the original Tales of the City, but she actually also stars in the two sequels, More Tales of the City and Further Tales of the City, both of which are extremely hard to find, but they originally aired on Showtime back in the day, I believe. And she was in Frasier for a couple of years. She plays
Yep.
Charlotte, who
Yep.
I do not. You remember her?
I do.
Okay, see, I don't remember her at all. Oh, she was in The Squid and the Whale.
Mm, I don't think I saw that.
Oh, you didn't see that? Oh, that's Noah. Oh, what's his name? I'm clicking on it. Noah Burback or something. That's not his name. God, I'm so bad at everything. Oh, Noah Baumbach. That's his name. That director? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I think that Noah Baumbach also did The Lobster. Let me see if that's true.
Oh, no, he didn't. That was a different horrible person.
I like The Lobster. I just recently saw it.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not kidding you. I know
could
you hate it.
unsee that movie. That movie is a travesty.
No, I love that. No, Noah Baumbach did Margot at the Wedding, the Meyerowitz stories, new and selected. Those are the big things that I'm seeing here. But Kicking and Screaming in 1995. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I've taken us off on a tangent. I like The Lobster, and you're wrong. You just don't know A-R-T, Morgan. That spells art.
Isn't his name like Yorgos Lanthimos? Is that the person who did The Lobster?
You're so right. You're fucking brilliant. I'm gonna try to spell that and Google it right now.
Somebody.
Lost. You're totally right. It's a name like that. Nope, that failed. I'm just gonna Google The Lobster now. That was probably the smart thing to do. Yes, you're so right. Yorgos Lanthimos.
He also did The Favorite, which was really popular last year, I think.
Yes. But The Favorite is very different from The Lobster, I assume.
It's very different, but like I can see how they're directed by the same people. Like they have a similar style.
Okay. Well, that makes me want to see The Favorite because I just watched The Lobster like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and you had told me already. You told me it was upsetting, and I was like, why is it upsetting? And you were like, girl, I can't even explain it. It's just so fucking upsetting. And I was like, ooh, intriguing. So then when I found it streaming somewhere, I watched that shit alone in my van in the middle of the woods. Yes. It was good.
I find it so disturbing.
I thought it was fucking funny. And all this shit about how you have to find a partner or they're going to turn you into an animal and his brother is a dog. And like, then I don't want to ruin anything.
Ugh.
Well, yeah, I shouldn't spoil stuff.
That was like one of the worst parts.
That part was very sad. The part we're not mentioning, but if you've seen it, you know. Yes, that was very sad. And that bitch was crazy. That bitch is crazy. Yeah.
I found the end also very sad.
Okay. I'm a little bit drunk, but I can remember the ending. Just give me a second. Wait, let me say this first. Those people doing the silent disco in the forest, the single people or whatever, yeah. I was like, this is literally my life. This is literally how I live now. I was so into it. I loved it.
I'm glad.
I think it's like one of my top 20 favorite movies, but I need to rewatch it. So right. Anyway, I'm so sorry. I did remember the ending. It was upsetting. Maybe we'll do that in an upcoming episode because it seems like you have a lot to say, and so do I.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I think that's a no from you. You're like, bitch, no. We're not.
We can talk about it. You know. Ready to try.
Maybe if there's an apocalypse and there's no new content that comes out, we can go back to stuff like The Lobster. Yeah. Okay, so
the age of Netflix where they do things like reboot Tales of the City, girl, there is no lack of content.
Girl, well, there is a lack of content. There's no lack of rehashing the same fucking content over and over.
That's true.
I'll agree with that part. So here's the thing. I'm going to just say it right now. I like the original PBS Tales of the City. I have more to say about that. I love the original books, but it's going to become very obvious I am not a fan of this remake. And I feel like they're going to come, the gay Nazis are going to attack me and steal my gay card away for saying this. But I did not enjoy it at all. How did you feel?
Yeah, you're entitled, by the way, to like or dislike anything, no matter what it's about, even if it's very queer-centric. I only watched 2 episodes of the original and 2 episodes of the reboot. And so what I feel is that I was very confused. I feel like you cannot jump into the second series, this reboot, without watching the whole first thing, or you'll just be really fucking confused about the drama, you know?
I'll tell you what, honey. Okay, so listeners, we're not going to spoil anything, especially from the new Netflix thing, because neither of us finished it. And actually, that was a choice this time to make a spoiler-free episode. And once we see stuff, we just have to talk about it. And we're going to spoil it. So we did that for y'all. So you can thank us with money at a later date.
Yes.
But thank us with dollar bills, please. I'll tell you what, though, Queen. So I've read, I think, every book of Tales of the Sea. There are 9 novels in the series.
Wow.
Okay. And they're not short novels either. They're pretty meaty. I think I've read every single one, but that was years ago. And I've watched the original 1993 Tales of the City, which was only 6 episodes long. I've watched that 2 or 3 times because I actually do genuinely enjoy it. Girl, I was lost. So obviously I have missed something along the way.
Well, that's interesting. And I think that, so in the original series, there was an interesting dynamic of like this Midwest girl moving into this like super San Francisco house and the super San Francisco life. And then there was like a slightly older woman who was like the matron of that community. And then flash forward to this new one, it's they're just layering on top of that dynamic by being like the old school people and an even older matronly figure, and then underneath all of that is these like really, really young, like they feel so young, like vibrant queer community. And like it's I think that it's an interesting dynamic, and Laura Linney seems uncomfortable.
Yeah, she does. She does, which is it's kind of okay for the character, I feel like, but I agree. I think when Laura Linney was young and not so famous and maybe didn't know as much about the world, she really played this like Midwestern rube, like straight man character very well. But like I just didn't buy her. I don't know, man. It just did not gel for me. And one of the big parts that I didn't like about the Netflix remake is the fact that she does seem consistently uncomfortable. Well, I watched like 4 or 5 episodes, and I just never, I don't know. She should be able to embody that character perfectly because she's played it now in 4 different series. Like
Wait.
she is, yes, because she played it in the 2 Showtime sequels as well. More Tales of the City and Further Tales of the City.
Wait,
Yes.
I didn't even know those existed.
What? I mentioned those earlier. Morgan, this is listeners.
Okay.
Morgan doesn't listen to me. And now you know who the real bitch is.
Wait, I think I might have heard you say those words and I just literally didn't know what you were talking about. So I was just like, moving on. Like
I understand. You were like the town drunk is just babbling again.
Well, what happens in the Okay. Let's start. Can we just start from the top?
Okay, so let's do a redo. So this whole series is based on a series of books by Armistead Maupin. Okay.
Okay, and this PBS show covers how much of that book series? Like one book or what?
Yeah, not even. Yeah, one book, Tales of the City. Well, okay, so here's another further complication. So originally, these novels were not novels. They were serialized in the San Francisco Chronicle newspaper.
Okay.
So when you read, and I think you can see a touch of it in the original 1993 series, but when you read the books, the chapters are very short. They're very like, slice of life San Francisco. Because they began to be published in 1978. Okay. So I mean, that really, how do I put this? I think that they're very charming as slice of life vignettes that you would read in a newspaper every week. I think already when you take those newspaper serials and you turn them into novels, kind of slapdash,
Yeah.
it's a little iffy. You know what I mean? Like that's a different format. We know that things don't always go from format to format well, but essentially, this whole storyline focuses on the people who live in the boarding house turned apartment complex at 28 Barbary Lane in San Francisco. And it focuses on themes like current events in San Francisco in the 70s and 80s, and then in the remake in current times, it focuses on sexuality and gender, on the AIDS crisis, very strongly on chosen family. And if you watch the 1993 series, it really is a quite faithful adaptation of the first book of the series.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Is it a lot of the same characters throughout the book, or does the boarding house change up?
It's a lot of the same characters. It's especially like Mouse, who's the gay best friend, Michael Mouse Tolliver, Dee Dee, the heiress, Beecham is in until he's not. I don't want to spoil anything. Brian Hawkins, who's the straight guy. When he was young, he was so fine. I mean, he's good looking as an older man, but holy shit, so fine. And then of course Mrs. Madrigal, played by Olympia Dukakis. She is kind of like the heart of the whole series. So yeah, she's throughout as well. I mean, I don't know if I've read all 9 of them, because at some point it goes off and like follows Mouse. And I think it follows Marianne Singleton out of San Francisco at some point. Technically those are part of the series, but those were really hard to find in the library, to be straight up, when I was living in Chicago when I read them. So I did not read those, I guess. Okay. So I think I said earlier I read them all. I'm so sorry. I lied to everyone. I take it back. I didn't read those. I mean, I read a bunch, but Morgan, did you watch long enough the original series to see Ian McKellen play a mean gay at a dinner party?
No!
Yes, Queen. Michael Mouse Tolliver goes to a dinner party that his boyfriend, the successful doctor, invites him to, and motherfucking Ian McKellen, close personal friend of Armistead Maupin, is like the host at that dinner party, and he is such a fucking see you next Tuesday. I love it. I live. He's the perfect mean gay to me. Perfect.
He's so fabulous. So he was friends with the author?
Yes, Armistead Maupin. I know it sounds like he's from Paris, but he's an American author.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I could be wrong, but I think Armistead Maupin is pretty much only known for Tales of the City. That's not to say he hasn't done lots of other fascinating things in his life. I'm looking it up right now, but yeah. And I believe he's still alive. He's
it seems like his legacy's lingering, so it's okay if that's all he's known for.
Oh yes, you're right. It is okay, because let me tell you, when I graduated from college and I found this series, it essentially spoke to me. I mean, I've never been, nor will I ever be, Michael Mouse Tolliver, or Marianne Singleton for that matter, but I felt like my life was a bunch of people who strongly resembled the people in this series. And it was so important for me as a little burgeoning gay man to find this series. So please don't think I'm talking shit about him, but yeah. He's pretty much, he's 75 years old. He lives in Washington, D.C., and he's pretty much known for Tales of the City. He's got like a memoir and some stuff, but
living in Washington, D.C. is such a fucking choice that I would never make.
I've heard they've got some really good clubs in Washington, D.C., but you're right, I wouldn't make it either. What turns you off about it?
There's so many things besides the cost of living and like how pointless it would be for me to live there because there are no career paths that I want that are politically motivated in any way, and that's like the whole point of that place. It's really divided, like gentrification is really bad there, and there's a lot of disparity and poverty, and there's just a lot of strife because of those things, and it's sinking. Did you know that? It's like it's like set on a big fucking sinkhole, so it's just like sinking, like it's
what?
Yeah.
A sinkhole?
Yeah.
So someday I might wake up and NPR's Up First tells me that all of Washington, D.C. has fallen into a motherfucking sinkhole?
Yep, that's life.
Jeez. Maybe somebody's life, but not mine, girl. I'm done. That's crazy. No, I didn't hear. I knew it was soggy and boggy and like swampy, but I didn't realize it was literally sinking into the earth.
It's a
Jesus Christ. Well, anyway, Armistead Maupin, is pretty much what he's known for. And he lives in D.C. and he loves sinking things. And he's got a husband who he married in 2007. And that's him. He's rich, so what does he care? I'm sure he loves it there.
Well, good for him.
Yeah. I would never live there either. It's just tacky to me. People wear horrible suits in D.C. and I don't have time for it.
Well, we've both got reasons.
Hey, and they're equally valid.
So true.
Okay, so Morgie, you watched a couple episodes of the 1993 PBS original TV series. What do you think? Like, did you want to watch more, but you didn't have time? Were you bored with it? Like, what were your thoughts about it?
I was not bored. It is definitely the kind of thing where I was like, I would finish this show, and I found it very enjoyable. I simply haven't had the time, and I wanted to go ahead and jump ahead and make sure that I saw a couple episodes in the new reboot so that I could have like context of both. So I probably will go back and finish it. I was intrigued about the characters. I felt like they had chemistry, and it didn't feel like a gross 90s PBS thing. Like some shit you see and you're like, that's old AF and I'm not into it, but like it felt good. Like it felt like a thing that I could sit down and watch.
I totally agree. It's aged really well, I think. I mean, there are a few things about the original series and therefore the original books that, look, it was originally written in 1978, right? So it's like, girl, some things will have changed over that time about how we portray people and like what we pick to be big character secrets and stuff. But like I said, I've watched the original series multiple times and I love it. Did you like Shameless, don't you, Morgan? That TV show Shameless?
It's in my queue. I still haven't seen it, but I love it. I really want to see it.
Morgan, every time you tell me you haven't watched that, it's like a dagger in my heart.
It's the same reaction. Okay.
Yes, because I'm so certain every time that you've watched it and loved it, because you just should. Okay, well, just so you know, those of you who have seen Shameless, Chloe Webb, who plays the mom in Shameless, I'm not going to spoil anything for Morgan, but y'all know what the mom in Shameless is like. She plays Mona Ramsey, who is Michael Mouse Tolliver's roommate and best friend. Morgie, she's the one with the bright red hair.
Okay, yeah.
And it is a fucking trip, especially if you've seen her as the mom in Shameless, to see her play this character. Kind of the same character, can I just tell you? Just different ages, honestly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that in mind.
So you've got Miss Chloe Webb looking good. And then what did you think of Mrs. Madrigal? She's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, I really liked her. I liked the vibe that she was throwing out, and I really love this house. Like, I think that it looks like an incredible place to live during your formative years, and I love the premise of that. Like, it just seems like a wonderful community.
Yeah, 28 Barbary Lane. It's a character in and of itself, right?
Totally.
Within the show. It's kind of like didn't Arthur from Hey Arthur live in a boarding house?
Yes.
Yeah. So essentially this is like Hey Arthur with drugs and gay sex, pretty much.
Okay, Helga.
Oh, so I'm Helga. Oh, that's funny because one of us looks like Helga.
I don't know.
One of us Looks like, okay. Well, that's fine. You have a football-shaped head. So why don't you suck my dick?
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
Escalated.
I know. It's because I'm drunk. Um, did you recognize, you met Beecham, right? The kind of smarmy businessman, son of the president of the company?
It's like the name sounds familiar, but I can't peg what that character is.
He's married to Dee Dee, the useless socialite, played by Barbara Garrick. And
Yeah.
he's like a gross, too sexual, useless asshole, essentially. Well, just so you know, he's played by Thomas Gibson. Do you recognize that name or know him from anything?
I
This is going to blow your mind.
I don't.
Oh, okay. Are you sitting down, ready to have your mind blown?
I am.
Do you remember the hit 90s sitcom Dharma and Greg?
I do.
He's Greg.
No.
Yes!
Okay, I don't think I did see him then because because I remember Greg's face and I'm not remembering it from the episodes I watched.
Yes. Well, he's, to be honest, Beecham is a shitty character, like literally shitty, and who gives a fuck about him, honestly. But yeah, when I saw him, I was like, where do I know him from? He's like so attractive. And then I looked that shit up, girl. Greg from Dharma and Greg. I watched that shit so many. It came on at 9:30 at night or 10:30, 10:30 at night, like all of our teen years.
He was a businessman and she was a wackadoo. How will they make it work?
Yeah. So essentially, he's just playing the same character too, but grown up.
Love
Honestly,
it.
just
Love
gotten a
it.
little bit nicer. Yeah. And then I'm sure you did clock this bitch, but did you notice Miss Parker Posey
Yep.
stunting?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I was again continually surprised by how recognizable a lot of the actors were. Like, this must have been a great show for many of them.
Well, yeah, Queen. I think so. I mean, here's the thing. Tales of the City has been a gay classic essentially since it was put into a novel, and its fame has just spread throughout the queer community and therefore throughout Hollywood. But the fact that PBS picked it up, I think tells you something, right? Because PBS doesn't. They might pick up stuff that's boring, but they don't often pick up trash.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
That's true.
my little that's problematic for this episode. That's problematic. Is actually kind of a reverse problematic because I'm sure you noticed there are only 6 episodes of the original series.
Yep.
Well, that's because the motherfucking series was canceled because of vigorous conservative opposition, of course. Uh,
Oh.
uh-huh. The Family Research Council, those dickless motherfuckers, they called it a slick piece of gay propaganda. Even though, I know, even though that fucking series got a Peabody and 2 Emmy nominations for PBS. How often do they get Emmy nominations? Not very often.
Not
Yeah.
frequently.
Yeah. So it was canceled because the conservatives threw up they were just so upset to see it on PBS. And here's the thing, gay propaganda, girl, these people are just living. How is this gay propaganda? It's gay propaganda in the 90s for a gay person just to live and breathe and not be killed by AIDS. How dare we? Ugh, these people.
You know what?
Pissed.
It doesn't surprise me because the conservatives try to ruin everything.
They do. And they succeed a lot of the time. They really do.
They do. Wow, I'm really fucking bummed to hear that, but I guess I'm really glad that things like Showtime brought it back to life and that places like Netflix are a safe space for that kind of content.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So good on you, Showtime. Good on you, Laura Linney, who stuck with it through all its iterations. Bad on you, conservative right, and fuck y'all.
Fuck
and
you.
I hope you pour a bowl of cereal and then you're out of milk. And I hope you lay down in bed and then it's itchy for no reason. And then you have to pee and then you go to the toilet and you can't pee and then you press hard and a slug comes out. Kind of like in Stranger Things, it's out of your vagina and or penis. That's
Yeah.
a curse.
Dick slug.
Anyway.
I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that. Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, who hasn't been there, right? I mean, we've
Girl,
all
we all
got dick
have.
slugs.
Okay. So that's kind of the tea on the original run,
Yes.
and we talked a lot about the different characters. And do you have any like favorite pairings? Like, do you love Anna Madrigal when she's with Mary, whatever her name is, or like, is there certain groups of people that you were excited to see? Like, you like Laura Linney and Mouse together because they're like cute, or like what?
Yes, I do like Laura Linney and Mouse. My favorite sort of relationship, though, is Mona Ramsey and Michael Mouse Tolliver. Actually, Anna Madrigal says this beautiful thing. My Mouse isn't around, and Miss Madrigal is talking to Mona Ramsey, who she just really loves, and she's like, "I approve of him, dear," and Mona Ramsey's like, "Oh, Miss Madrigal, it's not really that kind of relationship," and she says, "There are all kinds of marriages, dear, and lots of things are more binding than sex. They
Mm.
last longer too." And I just think, ugh, I just love their friendship, and they're kind of like common law married, those two. And like, girl, Morgie, you know as well as anybody, my life is just a series of common law marriages with badass chicks. And I don't know, I love them. I mean, that's my life. I have no luck with men. Well, I have too much luck sometimes, but that's neither here nor there. But I have a lot of luck with female friends in life.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just love them together. I think they're so sweet. What about you, though?
I think that's a really sweet thing that what you said. I don't think I watched enough of the original show to like make a really good assessment of who paired well, but I think that they just really kicked the series off by like integrating people together really quick and really effectively. So I think that it seems like it was well cast and that like a lot of the characters had great chemistry.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Well, actually, let's show a remake, or I guess sequel. That is. Now,
Do you,
that sequel,
ooh, you're cutting out there a little bit. Are you saying, do you consider this Netflix thing a sequel, even though it's like the third or fourth thing down the line?
maybe the right thing to say is like a continuation of the series. Maybe that would be the best way to put it. Yeah, like a sequel, but not the first sequel. It's like the third sequel, I guess.
Did Armistead Maupin write this show?
No. No, I don't think so. Let me double check, but it doesn't feel like him. Let me see. No, the creator is Lauren Morelli. Here's the thing about Armistead Maupin, and this is kind of problematic. All of his main characters are white. um, yeah. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He does have a writing credit on a 2019 series, the 10 episodes. But honestly, girl, there are like 9 other people who have writing credits, and I think that he was not the loudest voice in the room because it just doesn't feel like his writing to me a lot of the time. Um, and maybe he only wrote white characters because he was like, girl, that's what I know, and I don't want to offend people or like you know do a bad character who's not indicative of the real people. Maybe that's why he chose not to do characters of color, and maybe that's why they brought in a bunch of other people, including Michael Cunningham. Didn't he write The Hours? I think he
Oh,
did.
I'm not great with writers for scripts and stuff.
No, I'm not either. But Patricia Resnick has a writing credit, and she's a casting director. Girl, IMDb is drunk.
Girl, they just let anyone write shit.
I guess so. Well, anyway, there are a ton of new characters in the new series. Were there any that stood out to you as like likable, lovable, exciting?
So in the reboot.
Uh huh.
So I didn't, again, I only watched 2 episodes, but I was interested in learning more about. There's like the blonde girl that like you meet her in the first episode and she's like a filmographer. Like she's there to make like she's getting film for her documentary, I guess.
Sure.
And
Sure.
she's from Girls and she plays Shoshana in Girls and Shoshana was my favorite character. So like I was excited to see her and I was like, oh, what's her deal? What's she doing? But she was kind of an asshole up front, so I don't know if she pans out to be like good or lame.
So of the episodes I've seen, I forget her name, but I'm gonna call her Shoshana because that's exactly who I think of when I see her too. Um, Ellen Page is the daughter of well, it's complicated, but more or less.
Hey Mick, can you hear
And
me?
I think she's adorable with Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it cut out when you were talking about Ellen Page, so I missed what you said about her. Were you
Oh,
just saying
it was so brilliant though.
I'm sure that it was.
So Ellen Page was kind of complicated, but she's the daughter of Mary Ann Singleton and Brian Hawkins, who's the straight guy at 28 Barbary Lane.
But
And
that was the confusing part.
yeah, I mean, she's not, I don't think she's the biological daughter of Marianne Singleton, but she's the adoptive daughter. And then Marianne Singleton leaves for whatever reason to go be a fucking who cares what. And
Infamous.
that's like where the drama. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
To sell the.
So was Ellen Page's character in the original PBS series or in the Showtime series? Was she like
She.
born at some point, or was that just like brand new information?
No, I do think she was born at some point. Because yeah, no, she was definitely born at some point. Not in the original series, though. I haven't seen the Showtime series, so it could happen in there. Maybe the further tales of Marianne Singleton or whatever. But, yeah, she. I just kind of trust the way they set it up. I was like, well, this must be one of the books I didn't read or one of the series I didn't watch because they didn't set it up like it was a surprise of just this series. You know what I mean? Like the way everyone reacted and everything, it was like I thought they were trying to be like, "Oh, this is a secret, but all the real fans know already." I don't know. That's the way it struck me.
Well, and I found without like spoiling too much because like you learn all of this in the first like two episodes, but like Mary Ann Singleton, who's played by Laura Linney, was like, oh, this bitch is mad because she thinks that I gave birth to her and then I abandoned her. But I wasn't her real mom, so it's okay. And like
Yeah.
not having the history of like what happened when that baby was a child, like born and was a child, I was like, no, girl, that's still not okay. Obviously, you abandoned her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. Yeah. Well, and that don't pretty much every character says that to her. Like, girl, you need to grow up. And the problem with Marianne Singleton is she wants to be sweet and naive forever, even when she's not naive. You know what I mean? Like, just we're all shitty sometimes, Marianne. Just accept responsibility for your shittiness, like abandoning your child.
Yeah, she seems to have grown into a particularly shitty kind of person.
hmm Infuriating, I would say. Absolutely infuriating. And that was one of the big things I didn't like. I mean, we talked about how she doesn't seem that comfortable in the new series, but she's also not very lovable. Like, I kind of hate her.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
You know who else I hate? The fucking twins that live at 28 Barbary Lane, Annie
Dude.
and Raven.
Mm-hmm.
Girl.
They're trying to reinvent themselves.
To me, now I could be wrong, but to me, those two characters who want to be like Instagram hotties or whatever, they smack of being written by a baby boomer. You know what I mean? Like
Interesting. Yeah.
that's it just they're not good characters. They're not strong. They seem like stereotypes.
Mhm.
And also, why are they there? Like, what do they bring? Maybe in the later episodes, because I only watched about half, it's true. Maybe in the later episodes, they really become real, but I was pissed off about them. Also, because maybe they're gay or bi or something, but I'm like, so they're just literal millennial straight stereotypes who are put in here for like what diversity? Like I was disgusted by them. I gave them F's in my book, just so you know.
Yeah, now that you're talking about it, I support you 100%. And they are strange characters that seem really forced. And saying that maybe a boomer wrote that, I think that that's so accurate because they feel like this cliche representation of like those kinds of people.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. What did you think about? Do you remember the trans man
Yeah.
Garcia
hmm
as Jake? Yeah, what did you think of him?
Um. So, he has this girlfriend, right?
Her name is Margot.
Margot. Yeah. Um. I don't know. I don't know because I didn't get a ton of context of like what he is outside of this relationship he has with Margot, but I didn't love that he wanted to kind of string her along while he explored like his sexuality. And she
Mhm.
was like, I'm really not comfortable with that. I like monogamy. And he was kind of like, well, I'm not comfortable with not having you as a girlfriend, but I'm also gonna like maybe go fuck some dudes and see what's what. And like
Mhm.
it felt like it was really sad to watch because like they were both too scared to not be together, but they both wanted really different things. So it was really messy, like really messy, really fast. And yeah, I don't know, but I'm sure that Jake
Yeah.
is going, he's like post transition and he's in a whole new world and he's got a lot of shit going on. So like I get that he's in this like place. I don't know if like it feels like they either drift apart. I feel like they drift apart if I had continued to watch. Like they break up and maybe they're still friends, which feels like a good move for them. But
Mm.
in the first two episodes, it was so messy.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Kind of like how I think Annie and Raven are, just millennial stereotypes. I, I kind of feel like Jake and Margot, as you say, I think you hit the nail around the head. They are built around their relationship,
Yeah.
and it makes them both seem like not very well drawn characters.
hmm
Which is again why I just feel like Armistead Maupin, either he wasn't fully invested in the show or he didn't have much say or whatever. He's drinking heavily. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But like, I did not like those characters. I thought that Margot, the woman who plays her, Mei Hong, who was in like one episode of Broad City and some other stuff. Yeah, surprise. I thought that she was a pretty good actress. I'm sorry to say it because I do think he's very hot, but Garcia, I did not think he was a good actor, and it's his breakout role, and so I mean, I hesitate to be shitty about someone's breakout role, but on the other hand, I have to be honest, and his character did not ring true to me. Could have been the writing, but also there were some important moments where I needed him to like act, and I felt like he just couldn't. He just didn't. He wasn't. So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he'll grow and get better. Maybe he just doesn't have a lot of acting experience yet.
Which is fair. I mean, acting's not natural for everyone, but then it does kind of beg the question: if it's not natural, should you be an actor? I vote no, but that's just my thoughts. I mean, that's just me.
He's just a critic.
Yeah, I am peanut gallery over here. You know who I did fucking love though
Tell
is
me.
our boy motherfucking Charlie Barnett from Russian Doll, who plays Ben.
Uh,
Uh-huh, Mouse. He's so fucking hot. I cannot stand it.
yeah,
Oh,
dude, and him and Mouse were getting it.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. And they're both hot. Mouse is played by Murray Bartlett, who's not the original actor who played Mouse, sadly. Um, Murray Bartlett's in this show called Looking, which I've watched a few episodes of, and I thought he was fantastic together, and they had great chemistry, and I think they should be a couple and put out a sex tape, and I will pay money for it.
He's a silver fox, that guy who plays Mouse. He's cute.
Oh my God, he's gorgeous. Yeah.
Oh my God, you know who else is ripped? Ellen Page. She like took her shirt off at some point, and I was like shocked and like scared. Like I didn't know what was under all the baggy clothes, but like I was not ready for that. It was like a lot of muscles.
Yeah. Ellen Page, man, I have to say, to me, Ellen Page and Charlie Barnett were the two A-plus roles for me. I absolutely love them. I think this is amazing that they're doing this kind of content, especially Ellen Page, who came out, a couple years back now, I think.
Yeah.
I've just loved her recent career trajectory. Like she did, what's it called? We did an episode on it.
Umbrella Academy.
Yes, the Umbrella Academy. She was great in that, and I felt like she rocked that pretty good. But to me, she really shines in this role. She's so natural. She's so fucking hot. I mean, look, she's not my type in various ways, but damn, she's just like sexy to me,
Yeah, she's really effortless. Like I think she's just a really talented person, but like she feels just like a regular person. Like it's natural for her, and like she's probably the person who's most comfortable on screen, I think. And I think she did a great job, and I think she's smart to be working with Netflix. Like that's where Umbrella Academy was at. That's where this is at. And it feels like the platform for her skill set and for like the diversity of like characters that she is good at and wants to play.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I would say, like, if people are on the fence about watching this new Tales of the City, honestly, it's a mixed bag for me. As you can obviously tell, I'm not a huge fan, but damn, if you're an Ellen Page fan, she fucking tears it up in this series. And I think she's one of the main reasons to watch. You know who else? I know you're not a big RuPaul's Drag Race fanatic like I am, but Bob the drag queen, who won one of the seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race, plays her boss, Ida Best, at the bar.
Yeah. You're right that I didn't recognize from RuPaul's Drag Race, but they have a really, like, when they're on screen together, it's always really good.
Yeah. I mean, look, Bob the drag queen just is what she is. He's essentially the same in every role. He's a good actor, but he's fine. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he has a lot of dramatic, like, what's the word? Range. He doesn't have a lot of dramatic range, but I did squeal when I saw him. And I've heard there are quite a few other RuPaul's Drag Race queens on the series, like as it progresses in smaller roles. I didn't see them, but if you're a fan of RuPaul's Drag Race, that could possibly be another reason to watch, I suppose.
Nice.
I don't know, Queen. I mean, who do you recommend this series? I mean, what are your feelings? I know you don't like to rate things. I'll rate it, but I don't know. Do you recommend it or not?
I only recommend it if you're willing to commit to watching at least the PBS series that's also available for streaming on Netflix. I think it'd be nice if all of the Tales of the City were available. Like, feels like that's something Netflix could have tried harder for since they were like this out. But like I said, I was confused as hell about the drama going in. But I think if you're willing to commit to both, that it's not that long, and it seems like a worthwhile thing to do if you're kind of sick of the same old shit.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I will say, I think if you're a little queer person and you're like, oh, I want to watch something queer centric, like it might do it for you, especially if you're starved for like queer representation. But honestly, y'all, look, at this point, queer people can afford to be picky because we have quite a lot of representation, at least compared to 20 years ago. So, look, if something we've said sounds interesting to you, sure, give it a shot. But I'm giving this bad boy like a 5 out of 10 stars. It did not hold together for me as a series. Now, the original to me is like a solid 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 maybe. I love it. And the book's the same. But man, this stuff, I'm going to be surprised if it comes back for another season, honestly.
Yeah, I can see that.
Well, Morgie, do you have a plug for this week?
I've been enjoying so many things. It's like, what do I pick? I would like to plug the trailer that just recently came out for Greta Gerwig's reboot of Little Women. That the trailer made me cry. It's like 2 minutes recapping a thing that I have read many times and that I have seen many times on screen. And it just looks like a beautiful rendition, and the casting is incredible, and I can't wait to see it. And yeah, everyone should check out the trailer and get excited to see Greta Gerwig's Little Women.
Oh my God, you're coming in with Little Women will not leave me the hell alone. Every time I turn around, some other friend's talking about Little Women.
Girl,
well, good for you.
We like it. We like Little Women.
I know. I'm just superficially throwing shade. I'm glad that you like it, and I'll give it a watch. Hell, maybe this will be the one that finally gets me where I'm, in the heart, or where my heart used to be anyway. Speaking of places where my heart used to be, I watched the final season of Orange is the New Black recently.
Yes.
And oh my goodness. And I love this series. I've probably plugged it multiple times as new seasons have come out throughout the podcast. Let me tell you, Orange is the New Black is not something I would normally watch, but for whatever reason, it pulled me in. And it is an incredible tour de force of performances by a bunch of women, mostly women of color, but not all. And actually, the reason I decided to plug it is because, Piper Chapman, the blonde white girl, is essentially the Marianne Singleton of jail. I mean, she plays the exact same role of like straight man, know nothing rube, basic white girl, whatever. That final season, of course, I'm not going to spoil anything, but let me tell y'all, I got some fucking emotions out. I cried. I would say half the episodes made me cry. And not just like a single tear that shined down my cheek, but like bawling. I cried so hard. And I think it was a good ending for the series. I think it was a strong ending. It wasn't ridiculous. It didn't tie it up too prettily. It felt real. And it also spoke to some very real issues that are happening right now that I think people would like to ignore, but I think you're morally repugnant if you do. So, yeah. So I recommend that. The final season of Orange is the New Black, and pretty much every season that came before. There were some rough spots, but it always righted itself in the end.
Do you think they wrapped it up at like the right time?
Oh, that's hard. That's hard for me to say because I'm one of those people, I never want things to end. Like, I'm the reason that shows jump the shark, you know what I mean? And continue on when they've outlived. I think it was an okay time to wrap it up. I could have used 1 or 2 more seasons, personally, just because there are some characters who we never, like earlier characters who we never got an ending for. Maybe if they did some spin-offs, I would be okay with that, so I could follow some of the characters further. But I would say, yeah. I mean, tentatively, yeah. It was a good time to end it, I guess.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, everybody should be sure to check out those fucking things and also the million other great things that are out there. There's so much to watch right now.
Little Women and Little Women in the Big House. Those are our recommendations.
Yeah, boy.
So, Morgie, do you want to tell our very exciting news? We've got very exciting news.
Are you talking about our new schedule?
I am.
I would love for you to tell it so that we can be sure that we share the information correctly.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, Morgan, is once again you did not listen to me and you don't know the schedule. Jeez Louise.
Listen, but the thing is that I just trust you more.
Oh, I see. So what you're saying is you're the beautiful beauty and I'm the intelligent bitch. That's what you're saying.
Yes. Go ahead.
I'll take that, actually. Okay, so listeners, we're very excited to announce that we are starting up our Patreon. Okay, so that is the good news. Yay! And on our Patreon, we're going to be offering an extra episode per month, and it'll be a good long episode, kind of like this one this time. And we are going to start by watching Evangelion and doing a really in-depth, ridiculous, probably drunken walkthrough of Evangelion, which is currently streaming on Netflix. If you don't know what Evangelion is, you did not live through the 90s.
Right. It's a formative anime that really kind of it was one of the ones that sets anime into the American pop culture zeitgeist and really brought a lot of Japanese culture over. And it's extremely popular. It's a super classic, and it's huge that it's streaming on Netflix right now. Like, people are so excited. So if you never saw it, no worries. No time like the fucking present to jump in there and see what it's all about.
Absolutely. And if you think, oh, like, I'm not an anime person, those people smell like BO, I feel you, okay? I'm not really a huge anime person myself, to be honest, but you know what? Evangelion is a work of art. And you are doing yourself a disservice if you if you reject it because of stereotypes associated with anime fans. Just get that out of your head and give it a shot.
And I also think it has a really foundational story arc for a lot of today's sci-fi. Like, a lot of it's reminiscent of a lot of things that are prevalent in American sci-fi and American fantasy. And I think that people will recognize a lot of things they like inside of it that inspired today's stuff.
Absolutely. Plus, it is very, very feminist. Well, there is a lot of fan service, but there are strong female characters. And there's also, and I shan't spoil anything, but there is a queer kiss that will knock your ass off. I'm just going to say that right now.
They'll just have to tune in and check it out.
Ooh. Okay, so that's the good news. Now, those episodes are going to start airing in October. So now I'm going to take with one hand and give it with the other here, because in order to ensure that you are sufficiently hungry for our content, we are going to move back to a 2-a-month episode schedule. And, really, it's all Morgan's fault. I didn't want to. She forced me to. She put a gun to my head. Okay. It was a water gun, but still I was afraid. And she said, we are going to do 2 a month from now on because you're a bitch. And it was doubly hurtful.
Yeah, it's exactly how that went down. There's no other possible way that this happened.
Yeah. So it has a ring of truth, as they say. But no, we both decided that we want to give y'all the best possible content. Well, the best that we can do, possibly, anyway. And because of that, we wanted to have a little bit more time to do research and to pull things together. So our 2-a-month schedule is starting next month in September. And then in October, if you're hungry for us, you can subscribe to our Patreon, and you can go all the way back up to 3 a month. And it'll be almost like you're back in Oz with all the queer Tin Men.
Almost, guys.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be popping. I'm excited, girl. And we're gonna figure out tiers. We're gonna figure out tiers for our patrons, and we'll give you shout outs on the show. Maybe we'll come to your house and give you a little cunnilingus. I mean, whatever you're into, we're willing to do for cash.
Yes, for money. That's what we'll do, for money. Yes. So more information on that to come as we figure it out, but we're really excited about that change. But yeah, you can still catch us everywhere else if you want to get in touch with us. We are on all of the social media platforms. You can find us at Beauty and the Bitch if you search that, or just at BNB Cast. We even have a WordPress blog where we also have our podcast stream in case you have trouble accessing it. It's bnbcast.wordpress.com.
We're on YouTube these days. In fact, every single episode is on YouTube.
Okay, well, there's like one or like possibly two that are missing.
Morgan, why are you always bursting my bubbles? Look, we've already given some bad news. I'm trying to give some good news. Why can't the world be beautiful, Morgan?
Yeah, just kidding. They're all on there. Asterisk, some of them are not.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Because Santa Claus doesn't exist and not every episode's up there. But almost all. There's only 1 or 2 missing. And people can also follow our personal Instagrams. I am at Parker_Homestead.
Yeah, you guys should follow Mickey's homestead journey. He's doing lots of things, and he's a regular mountain gal now.
I pull it off. Just believe me, it's true.
It's a look. And you guys can also follow me on Instagram at Morganized Mess, where I'm just a basic bitch like Marianne Singleton.
Hey, you know what? You'll always have a fucking mouse in your corner who loves the shit out of you no matter what.
Thank God.
That's your other gay friend, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, no, it's not true, Morgie. It's not true.
Just kidding. We love you, babies. Thanks for tuning in, and we're excited about the changes on the horizon.
Yes, we're excited about all of it, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye, babies.
Bye.
Do you have a home? Beauty in the Bed.
You look. Beauty in the Bed.
Yeah.
Beauty in the Bed.
You're
Bye.